Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to SRL. After a year's absence, we're back doing some championship racing, and you join us just at the end of qualifying here at the Portland International Raceway. I am Tom Dillon, and I will be one of your commentators today, but also joining me will be Edward Hunter and Tobias Blumshine. Welcome to the stream, gentlemen, and one thing I should apologise for is... first of all, my YouTube was on in the background, so you just had a slight echo for a second, so I do apologise to the viewers for that. But also we had a slight resolution issue with the broadcast there for a second. So other than that, everything should be sorted and smooth sailing from here on out. So how are you, feeling for today's race, gentlemen?
Really, really good, actually. The grid looks good. There's been a close qualifying. We just had qualifying, actually. It was a very close grid if you didn't see it.
Yeah, I think Sven Gielhed just nicked, sorry to interrupt you there, Tobias, but Sven Gielhed just nicked pole position from Alessandro Valente, who held provisional pole for much of qualifying there. We've got 8 cars on the grid ready to go, so it should be, let's not forget, we've got the feature race, 30-minute feature race, followed by a 20-minute reverse grid race, the sprint race, just after. So lots of action to come now, and the grid will soon be forming up.
And, of course, we've got a... I think it's a 6-round calendar. In fact, we can show you the calendar on our lovely R-Factor 2 graphic. So we start, obviously, at Portland today on the 14th of November. Then we go to Apple Valley, the Oval, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Richmond, and Road America. So it is a 6-round championship with 12 races, which means it should be vital that the drivers get away quickly.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. And in such a short championship, you really need to make your mark very, very quickly. But of course, it's 6 events, but with the feature race and the sprint race, it's effectively 12 races then. So yeah, we'll have to see as they get out for the warm-up who ends up making the better start between Gielhed and Valente, or if the likes of Roland Zux from Mugen can get in on the action. I think we're going to have the run to the first chicane. It's going to be very interesting indeed.
Here we go then, we can actually see the throttle and brake traces of Callum Hambley as we go on board for a little bit heading through the warm-up session. And you can see Callum really delicate on the throttle. And then it's really all about balance in these cars. They're very, very rear, well, they're very unstable at the rear. You have to say they drive a lot like a go-kart. You can really chuck them around. You can see there Callum already getting all squirrely on the rear, and having to make these tiny adjustments that really make driving these cars quite a spectacular feeling indeed.
Yeah, also new for this race is that the liveries have finally arrived. As we can see, the Crashed Racing livery from Callum Hambley with Tesco splashed around his on his car. It's a lovely livery, actually. I really like it. Should we run through
those
them?
Those who don't live in the UK, Tesco is a supermarket chain.
Then I think we can look at. I think we'll leave the Monkey Esports for last. Here we have the Mugen Sim Racing livery, a very Mugen livery, I'd say. You guys can agree with that with me, I guess.
Well, Mugen seems to only really have one livery.
It's a nice livery,
it is a nice
I will
livery.
Say that.
And
yeah.
Of course,
it's very active camouflage.
And then we have,
of course, us three know best Mugen through their successes in EERC, particularly this season and last season. As I'm currently looking at Kai Halicki in the Lev Speed, and well, it is a nice looking livery actually.
It's a very new team though, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they do. Because obviously,
and Halicki, of course, we saw in the test race, failed to finish either one of them. Showed a couple of good turns of speed here and there, though. So let's hope he's able to at least get to the end. That's got to be the aim for the number 32 here.
Then obviously we've also got the Iris car, which has got Pizza Hunters on it. Lovely.
I'm feeling some of these companies may not have consented to their sponsor logo being used on the side of these cars.
I have a feeling they have. Anyways, moving away from that. Finally, the most amazing livery on the grid. The Monkey Esports livery. Guys, what can I please get your opinion on this livery?
Well, I think it looks atrocious. It looks like the large vomit that my dog left this morning.
I like
as we
a
fed
little
her
bit of blue
some
at the
little
back
food.
that feels
Yeah.
completely ill-fitting. Like someone
It's
splashed
the
that blue on
Windows
the
X. Basically, we talked to Emily Callison a bit earlier, and she said the main image of the green and the blue at the end is the Windows XP background. What?
Oh, there's a rather large incident there between two of the drivers. That was Halicki having one of the incidents, and well, I don't think they'll be looking to do that in the race. But I think the thing about the Monkey Esports livery, I think it pretty much proves why we had the livery rules in place back when SRL was in its first formation. And I think, to be honest, I'd quite like to see those return with abominations like that turning up onto the grid.
Wow, well, we filled a whole 5 minutes talking about liveries there, so
Well,
maybe we should talk a little bit about the Portland International track that we'll be seeing the 2 races on as well, fellas.
And we'll put on the track map, actually, for the wonderful viewers. This is an IndyCar circuit primarily. We've got that all-famous Turn 1. I don't know if you've done much racing here on R Factor 2 before, gentlemen. I've done a little bit. I did a single Formula 3 race here in the competition system when that first formed. And it's
same here actually.
It's not the most memorable circuit. It's quite nice flowing. It's very simple to pick up, and I think the drivers will enjoy it as well.
That's the thing. I mean, I think it's a good race to start the championship at. It's not nothing special. The good tracks come towards the end. We're finishing obviously at Road America, which I think which will be a very good finale because it's a lot of slipstreaming, a lot of good corners, and the drivers should feel quite challenged there.
You could, of course, really jump into a circuit like this, and you can kind of, once you've got your setup sorted, you can jump in, do a couple of laps, and you should be fairly up to pace. There aren't many turns particularly, and especially when you've got a day like today, 29 degrees track temp, 29 degrees air temperature, and fair weather. I think the drivers are in for a very, very nice race indeed.
And fun.
Sorry to interrupt there again. I think there's 2 really good overtaking opportunities. One is into the first chicane, and the other is at the sort of back straight into sort of turns 8 and 9. I think that section, because you get such a big run up if you, in these cars especially, the slipstream being so strong that if you can tuck right into it and come out at the right moment, as we saw many times at Indianapolis in the test races, then it can really play to your advantage as the car behind. So not necessarily to the pole sitter's advantage on the first lap here.
And of course, we should mention heading into the race, we will be having a look at live chat throughout. So if you do have any questions for us, feel free to pop them in the chat. And of course, if you have any issues as well with audio levels and things like that, which I think should be okay, then you can give me, you can tell me. And I've just been reliably informed it's actually a fixed setup series. So I suppose your setup is still sorted regardless.
Yeah.
It's sorted for you.
Just
A
makes
little
it
bit less to worry about.
Oh yes,
It's
exactly.
easy to jump in and then start off, but that's the good thing. Also, for reference,
The Irish and Asian
final-
car getting very close to each other there. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, this
Tobias.
is ERC GD3 battle all over again, except just in practice. The 2 trying to intimidate one another. Iris got a brilliant run, and then Mugen was trying to come back on them at on the main straight.
Yeah.
And,
I'm actually looking
came
forward to
through
race.
for the chicane.
Obviously, going from what we saw in the test race, it would look like Sven Gailhard would run away with us, but obviously, as we've seen here, Alessandro Valente looks very quick. Same with Roland Juke and Turnlauer. We've got a very good field. I think Callum Hambley's starting a bit far back for race 1, but maybe race 2, you never know.
And yes,
So, yeah.
of course, the 2 races really gives the drivers an opportunity to, a little bit like the Formula 1 sprint actually, work their way up the field progressively. And of course, if you have a particularly poor race 1, you can still hang in there and take the reverse grid pole position. And if you're a driver who would normally be fighting at the front, that's really advantageous for you. You can really build a gap heading into the sprint race and see if you can hold off the people who won in the feature race. Of course, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a 30-minute feature race today and then a 20-minute sprint race.
You'll be correct in that assumption.
Yeah, no need to correct you then, Tom.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah. Currently looking at who's where. Roland Duke and Turnlauer still following each other. Hopefully we'll get to see some good battling. Obviously, next race is at Apple Valley Speedway. I'm not sure what that is again.
As Twan's really acted as one of Iris's poster boys in a way. I remember ARL Le Mans this year. I believe it was Twan who drove in our car towards the end, and just watching him jump into this LMP2 and absolutely wring the neck of it was mightily impressive indeed.
One, it's a turn. It's pronounced turn.
Okay.
Just saying. Secondly, he's one of Iris's main drivers. He does a lot with them. That's the team he's basically with for the season. So yeah, no, he's basically got his affiliations with that team, as do other people. As we see a bit of slipstreaming down the main straight between the two drivers, Turnlauer really staying to the inside to not give him the slipstream.
This feels like a dress rehearsal, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're really practicing as.
Oh, and
okay,
then
just
straight through the
screw
chicane.
the chicane.
Yeah.
As you can see, they're having a bit of fun.
They're doing
That's
a
the
bit
NASCAR lap.
They're doing a bit of the Calamilot there, you'd have to say.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the old, wasn't there an Indy Lights race earlier this year where, like, the three leaders all kept the chicane and it ended up causing, like, absolute chaos?
I'm not completely sure. I didn't
I think
watch.
a similar thing happened in actual IndyCar as well.
As we can see, Roland Juke cutting the corner and getting advantage. You know, he spun the car, lost with the rear. Turnlauer's going to be countering then, I guess. As Turnlauer really catching up now. We both know that they're all going to cut the chicane as there's a bit of contact. And they're trying to spin each other.
Oh! Well, this is certainly providing some entertainment without us having to try too hard.
He's holding the drift really well. Oh, what a save, son.
Beautiful car control from that must be
as
the
he's,
mood.
as he's doing a burnout, like...
Not the most confident car control there in the end from Roland Zux, but it's all in vain, really, as they will be heading into the race momentarily. As you can see, they'll have 60 seconds to get onto the grid. And there you can see we'll have a formation lap and then the start. So I think we should get the formalities out of the way and say, do we have predictions for top 3 heading into the feature race? Of course, 30 minutes longer than what they had to do in testing. I'm going to say Sven Gillerhood will certainly take the win, and I think Turnlauer will get onto the podium. And I think other than that, it will probably be pretty line astern.
I'm gonna counter you with that one, actually. Sorry to budge in, but I actually think that it's gonna be a Roland Juke's win with second Alessandro Valenta. I think Sven's gonna have a bit of a bad start and loser on the front. Obviously, 8 drivers, not an okay grid, actually. I'd say it's not bad. It's gonna be a good amount of racing. The grid's very close at the front, so hopefully that they'll stay close as we go on to the formation lap.
And it has been one of his weaknesses for Sven Gillerhood, actually, his race starting. We know he lost the lead last week during the pre-season test, and I think it'll be something that he's definitely going to have to work on. However, I think regardless of the race start, he should still be able to come away with a victory in this one. Of course, if you are interested in getting involved in the action, you can join the Discord, which is linked in the description of this stream. And if you are enjoying it, please do like and subscribe, as this won't be the only series SRL runs this year, I am sure.
Yeah, I'm just looking in that chat actually, Tom. Carl Magnus Boris saying, who's a big Monkey fan, Monkey Esports, says, I think Sven Gillerhood will lose. Terrible driver. Somebody has not been paying attention, I would suggest, or they're trolling us.
Well,
Anyway, as we go to the start, if you want, I'll take over for this now. So going to the final corner, the Monkey
Floor's yours,
Esport.
Tobias.
Yep, thank you. As the Monkey Esports 1-2, and then the first medium comes in P3. Monkey Esports really doing good, as we can see them heavily heating up the tyres, ready for the start of this race. Getting ready to get on the grid. Really ready.
Luckily for Sven, he won't have to wait too long, of course, for the rest of the field to form up.
Oh, there was a small lock up there from one of the cars. As we go on. Waiting for the lights to go out. Getting ready. 3 lights. And we're go for the season big opener at Portland. Alessandro Valente has kept it even with Sven Gellhard. He might get him down the inside. Roland Zhuk hasn't had a very good start. Alessandro Valente going down the inside. Will he do it? Or has Sven Gellhard kept him outside far enough? He
Oh,
has.
I think Valente's lost out here. Oh,
Yeah, he really
through goes
has.
Zux.
Roland Zhuk, will he try it into the next corner? No, he won't. He'll stay behind, hoping maybe for the next corner. As we continue, he takes a tighter line, Zhuk. Doesn't help him though.
Yeah, Zux is
All
going to try and
maintains
slipstream
fairly
here, I
clean.
think.
Yeah.
And this is what we were talking about on the formation lap, actually, with Sven Gillehud not having the best race starts, and that's pretty indicative of what we saw in the test. You can see the 1v1 battle graphic, and well, Roland Zux just trying to slipstream and eventually edge his way past Gillehud. But I think Gillehud will be quite happy that he was able to thwart that attack from Valente and maintain a lead on lap 1.
Yeah, Tern Lauer had stayed very quiet then P4. He's still staying quite quiet. Roland Zuk really staying wide. Sven Gellhard goes quite wide there. That might not help him for the back straight, obviously.
Well, Valente looking quite close to Zux, actually.
Yeah, really close, actually.
But it's certainly, like you
Roland
say,
Zuk.
not ideal for Valente. Like, he just completely got boxed in there because he was on the outside, and Zux took full advantage. So Valente, really good defensive driver, and he's going to have to... I think Tenleur could be a threat if he can't get past Zux and retake second place.
We do know that it is quite a tricky track to overtake on here at Portland. It's not been the most easy for the drivers in the past, as you said, Ed. There's only really 2 overtaking opportunities on the lap, and I think that will unsettle the second, third and fourth running drivers here a little bit for their prospects of winning this race.
Yeah, that's the thing. That means it's tough to go from the back of the field. It's tougher than Indy, because Indy has a lot of slipstreaming options, which means it's very easy to catch up to cars, which obviously means promotes better overtaking. Portland isn't like that. For example, in the quick chicane, it's very risky to overtake, so that will not... Some drivers will not be favoured, as Sven Gellhard is going very wide in that corner.
Valente, once again, really tucked in, actually, behind Roland Zux. Sorry to interrupt, Tobias.
No problem. Yeah, he's going down
going for it.
No, thanks for
I
better.
backed out. It was just mind games there. I think the angle made him look a bit closer than he actually was.
Roland Zhuk is keeping up with Sven Gellhard though. They're keeping really good close, and the 3 of them are pulling a little gap to Tern Lauer. However, we all know Tern. He's a very quick driver, and he can come back. Yeah,
Hilicki actually doing really well to hold off Callum Hambley in 5th position, I think.
Oh yeah.
So we'll have to see how that develops.
Had quite a quiet going up the grid. He's a bit quicker than Kai, so you probably will get him past him soon. However, Kai Lichki has quite a gap to him. It's not a small one. As we stay along with Roland Zhuk still biding his time. He might be sticking behind and waiting for his time. So, ooh, that's bad for Sven Gellhard. He's lost a lot of time. He went a bit wide through that. First fluster. Roland Zhuk really waiting there, as they both go very wide through there. That's not ideal.
Yeah, Zuk's really pushing to sort of take advantage of that mistake by Gillhead, and as a result actually kind of losing a bit of momentum there. So it's kind of ebbing and flowing. He's got these 2 green cars in front and behind him, Roland Zux. And it's looking like he might just end up staying where he is, the way things are going.
You never know. He's keeping up with Gellhard well though, so we might have a good battle for the win between these 2.
Yeah, certainly Galehead feeling a bit of pressure, more than we saw in Indianapolis, where he won comfortably in both races and him in the preseason testing. But
Valente and Lalo also though, really keeping up with them.
Yeah, even Hilicki not that far. He's still just about in sight with Hambley in the red car just behind him.
Hambley not really being able to catch us. The other 2 that are really far down. They might have had a bit of a get together, I have a feeling.
Yeah, Petravki and Sibagnoni.
Going through the chicane again. Bit better this time from Gellhard. He's taking the better lines as Valente's going a little bit wide. That might open the position up for Lauer. However, it is very stock racing.
It looks to me like Zux takes a really early turn actually for that that chicane just after that really long back straight. and he sort of turns in really early and then deals with the corrections on exit. So he often gets his really good entry speed, but his exit speed sometimes gets a little bit compromised.
Oh, for sure. Another thing that might be a bit interesting to look at is the tyre wear here. The tyres wear very quickly here, so that might be good. That might be some pit strategies at this race for once.
I've been having a
This
look
is the
actually.
feature race.
I've been having a look actually through the rulebook, trying to find if there's anything about mandatory pit stops, and I don't believe there is a mandatory pit stop for this feature race, which means it's not required. Yes, here we go. Actually, rule 6.1: a driver is not required to use all available compounds during the race. This means you are not required to pit, which means we could see is actually there's a driver who has retired from the race. That is Maximilian Petrafki. And I think that will be particularly disappointing for him. He won't be on reverse grid pole as well as
Oh, look at this! Zuk's really under pressure, and Zuk goes off!
Zuk goes off. Is he going to go to the wall? Is he going to miss it? Oh.
Well, there we go. That's Valente back into second place then.
As he retires from the race, Roland sucks.
Ah.
But
Megan.
As for the pit stop strategy, I think we could quite easily see someone coming into the pits before the end of this race, perhaps to do a little bit of a Hamilton and see if they can just run through the delta and just get it all the way back down and overtake someone. Because of course the fresh tyres can give you quite a big advantage on these high-speed circuits.
Yeah, and you haven't got to worry too much about traffic with only 5 or 6 cars left in the race then.
Another thing that we'll have to point out is what will the damage be on Valente right now after that little incident with Roland Juk? Was there contact, or... Because to my eyes it did look like there was a bit of contact.
There was certainly a bit of contact. I don't think there'll be too much damage there. The damage is set quite low. It's 40% off the top of my head. I'll double check that for you though. However, I think perhaps it would just unsettle him a little bit, and getting his elbows out for certain Alejandro Valente, and perhaps a penalty.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the replay of it. Valente was sort of was able to attack and put Zuk's on an unideal line. Zuk sort of went wide and was desperately trying to save it. In the end, he couldn't, and that's why we saw him going off.
To my eyes, it looked like Zuk had a bad exit, which meant that Valente could capitalise it, and then that happened.
Someone who's benefited from this, though, is actually Turn Lawyer. As we can see the extended battle graphic, it's going to tell us that there's only 7 tenths between Valente and Lawyer, and we know that Lawyer is a very, very, very fast driver. Indeed, as we said, one of our...
I wonder if Lawyer has been saving his tyres as well, Tom, like you were just alluding to, because he wasn't being that aggressive, as we actually see in the background, is that Hambly getting past Hiliki as well.
Is it certainly Hambly trying, as you can see, tucking in.
Ooh, Hiliki going really wide now, going around the outside of Hiliki. Has he done it? That would be a brilliant move by Callum Hambly. Well done.
Brave round the outside by Callum. And Hiliki sort of tucked in the slipstream now. He's just going to rely on doing it on the straight rather than the corner. But Hambly is going to have to see this one coming from a long way back, isn't he?
I can't see he's not doing it. Oh, it's close. Oh, it's close.
Oh, that's heavy damage to Kai Hiliki's car. He was trying to go around the outside, but there wasn't room. Oh dear.
As Hambly's off, he's trying desperately to save it. He's just able to do that, and I think Hiliki was just a little bit unsighted there by how much Hambly squeezed him. I don't think there was any particular rules broken there, but now they're going down into Turn 1, that really, really tight chicane. You can quite easily collide with someone if you're not too sure what's going on. And there you go, Hiliki.
Going to be on the brakes.
He just outbrakes himself a little bit. You know, he won't get any points for style there. However, he has got the move done, and I think he'll be quite pleased with that. It's not job done yet, though, as Hambly is really keen to get back at him.
Yeah, certainly these two putting on a fabulous show, and the sticker on the side of Callum Hambly's car says "Stupid Kills." That was a little bit of a silly mistake, it must be said. When
Callum Hambly going around doing the same move. Has he done it this time? No, he hasn't. He tries getting the overspeed, but just doesn't, because Hiliki does a brilliant defensive move by slamming the door. However, Hambly will try the thing. Very aggressive defending, going into the second chicane. Will Hambly try the move, or will he not? Again, that's a very tough place to overtake, and it's...
Oh, he's left the inside open, undefended. I think Callum might dive for it here if he's given a chance. Oh, but Kai just enough.
Hiliki doing brilliantly defending his positions, I have to say.
Yeah, meanwhile, up front... Sorry, Lewis still behind Valente.
Ooh, Turnlauer's really closed up, by the way, to the Monkey Esport of Alessandro Valente. There might be a bit of damage there, because Alessandro is one of the quickest drivers. It's a bit weird seeing him fall so far behind his teammate. There was not a big gap between them, but Turnlauer really catching up. Like we also said, how will the tyres fare towards the end of the race, as the time was very high here.
And Hambly, I think, once again, falling back a little bit from Kai Halicki as we get 20 minutes left in the race. So he's regrouping for another attack, but certainly Valente looking very vulnerable at this stage.
I think Lawyer is just a little bit content with just staying behind Valente, making sure that he can just relax and pressure him, perhaps force him to use more of the tyres than he thinks. Maybe he's been doing some long run practice, knows that the tyres are going to be pretty nasty towards the end if he can just force Valente into a little bit of a mistake. Here we go though. I think he is actually going to go and have a look for the move. I think he's just going to think a little bit better of it actually.
I can see the two battles and Hambly really going wide in the back. Try and get past
yes,
Kai
Callum
Halicki.
Hambly really there.
Look at them
now.
weaving. Kai trying to break the toe here.
God, this is a brilliant battle between the two of them. I mean, yes, there was that small incident which might have given them a little bit of damage, but Kai Halicki really stepped up his game from last round. Last round he was good, I have to say, but he's doing much better than last round, isn't he? Really
This looks like a
defending
man
from
who has
Callum
really practiced this Portland International Raceway circuit, and it's paying dividends at the moment. Callum Hambly
Yeah.
unable to find a way through. Halicki really just holding firm, not doing anything too drastic or spectacular, but it's good enough to hold on to that 4th position and those crucial points.
Hambly really trying it everywhere, isn't he? I'm not
Yeah.
sure that was the right decision. That was reminds me a bit of like Perez when he was trying to dive it down Sainz yesterday. That's what that reminds me of a bit. As we go down into the quick chicane. Hambly really caught him up in the straight. Will he try and move? Thinks of it, doesn't do it. Goes a bit wide, but does he keep it in shape? He does. Going a bit wider. Halicki.
Yeah, I think Kai defended the inside this time. He sort of turned in early enough so Hambly couldn't really do anything. And it looks like Hambly's getting a slightly better run on the exit of some of these corners, but Halicki
yes, he really is. He might look for a move here.
knows exactly where Hambly's going to go. So Hambly's really going to have to try
As he
something
goes down the
unexpected.
inside now.
Oh, there we go. Oh, and
that's
Halicki.
nice.
Oh, they both come to grief. There we go. And they both have a half spin, but continue.
I have to say that was always going to happen there with Callum Hambly coming from that far back. Halicki
Yeah.
had to turn into the corner at some point. It was just a shame that Callum was there, and I think that was a little bit rushed. I think this is frustrating Hambly a bit. He must feel that he's got the pace over Halicki, but Halicki is just not making it easy for him to overtake. And it's perfectly fair driving, and it's impressive to see someone who struggled so much last weekend compared to someone who was fighting for podiums last weekend, and now you can see them having a battle, and Halicki really showing how he is a very good driver indeed.
Oh, for sure. Now coming back into the back straight. This is where Hambly sort of catches up, and then in the final corner, this is a bit like the an effect that sort of what used to get in Malaysia, where they'd catch up going into the final corner, and then overtake into the first corner.
Yeah, I think Hambly's setting up for the main straight again here.
Yeah, he really is. Halicki goes wide. Hambly gets a much better run down the outside. Will he get it before the corner? Because the thing is that when you duck out of the slipstream, you don't have much overspeed, do you? As Hambly really
he's going to hope it's got to be enough.
I think he's got it this time.
What can Kai do?
Hambly
Keep
misses
on
the corner.
brakes!
He has to cut the
Oh.
chicane. My God, Halicki's done brilliantly to defend this position, hasn't he?
And I think this
Yeah,
is,
there we go.
if I have to be brutally honest, I think this is more poor, frustrated driving from Callum Hambly rather than a particularly
We
good
get to
defense.
Lauer, who's gone off now, who's really close to Valente.
Talk about frustration.
I think this track is just greatly frustrating for a lot of the drivers. They feel like a little bit that they're entitled to these positions. They've just got the better pace. It's clear that Hambly is faster than Halicki, and it's quite clear that Lawyer is faster than Valente. And I think it's just frustrating them that they just can't find a way past. We said how difficult it is to overtake at this circuit, but it is delivering us some absolutely excellent racing about halfway through this race.
That off will not do Lawyer's tyres any good whatsoever in the closing stages, as we go into the last 15 minutes, I think. Then. So we'll just have to wait for the Lawyer and Hambly to catch back up again, won't we? Because I can't see Geelhead making any mistakes at the moment.
Sven Gillerhood has shown himself to be in a different class in this series so far, and I think, well, if he doesn't win the championship this season, even with a bit of a Grand Slam, then it would be a mighty shock to the system. And I think he's going to be on for the Grand Slam today, actually, with the fastest lap and everything. In fact, no, that's not true. Roland Zux has the fastest lap. So if Gillerhood can steal that from him, he'll be on for the Grand Slam.
Thing is, I can't see that happening because the tyres wear quickly here, and when the tyres wear, the cars go slower here. The tyres wear heavy, so I could see a pit stop happening.
Well, it depends really, doesn't it? Whether you like you were saying earlier, Tom, whether the delta makes it worth it, because I'm not sure how long a pit stop is actually here at Portland. How long the pit lane?
The thing is, the tyres take too long to pit. It's a very long pit stop.
Oh, big wide from Lua. He's really pushing in that number 24 to catch back up to Alessandro Valente.
Sibagnoni, I just saw a glimpse of Sibagnoni, who's just gone through turn 3 while the 3 leaders are going into turn 1, 2, and 3. He could get lapped here. That could be a screw into Sven Galehood's plans here. Wouldn't it be?
Yeah, Sibagnoni is really, because of those retirements behind, I think Sibagnoni is going to inherit the reverse grid pole.
Yeah, he really is. He is.
Sibagnoni.
If that's how it works.
Sibagnoni 3 seconds as well off the pace of the rest of the grid. 1:12.1, the fastest lap. 1:15.1, his fastest lap. 1:16.2 the last time around. So he's really struggling. Perhaps just hasn't quite put the practice in that he, you'd say, he needed for this race, and he's having a rather orderly drive at the back of the field. He hasn't caused problems, in fairness to him, and well, I think
at least he's still in the race as well.
He's still in the race as well.
He needs,
so
from the number 39's perspective, it's about, for Sibagnoni, it's about getting experience, getting laps under his belts, because that's really going to help him in the reverse grid race when he already need it, I guess. And that's where, from his perspective, the main race.
And in fairness to Sibagnoni as well, nothing does do you better than just getting laps under your belt in the competitive format. You can practice all you want, however, when you're thrown into a race and you have to be at a certain pace, it really does you all the world of good. And I'm sure towards the end of the season as well, apparently he's a controller driver, so I'm sure towards the end of the season we'll be seeing him getting back up the order, and perhaps,
and of course, with such a small field, if we get bigger field in the later races, then these points are really going to help Sibagnoni later in the season in the fight for wherever he's going to end up.
I have a feeling Callum Hambley's just given up on getting Kai Lichkin, is just waiting for the sprint race whole second place front row, as Kai Lichkin's really pulled out a lead. He's been doing a brilliant race, hasn't he?
Yeah, literally, certainly one to watch in the reverse. Well, the problem with the reverse grid, he's got Lua, Valente, and Gielhead, who will be right behind him. So all these good work here is going to come to nothing.
We don't know Callum's full speed, as I have a feeling he's got a little bit of damage from the incident, the earlier mentioned incidents that have happened.
And just to elaborate on the Sibagnoni point, Seawolf makes a point in chat that he's a controller driver and his first race in R-Factor 2. We're not criticising him. We've all been there, being off the pace.
Yeah.
Before and in fact he's set a fastest lap 1:14.9, so we're not criticising him, and we're sure he'll speed up. And in fact, it's been a very noble drive indeed. To do your first race in R-Factor 2 and not even have a spin is very impressive indeed. I wasn't that lucky. I think you'll remember it as my first race on R-Factor 2 in ERC.
Oh yes, was it? Let me think.
Hockenheim.
Was it? Well, yeah, it would have been my first race too. Hockenheim,
yes, exactly. And it wasn't a particularly great performance from me, it has to be said. I think it was my second race.
My first race was a 12-hour Sebring, which where the owner allowed me to drive on my own for an hour. I did about an hour in a Ferrari. I had barely ever driven because I'd gotten the game like a week earlier, and my first race went as bad as you can imagine. First of all, I spun the car and forgot to apply the brakes when spinning, so it was unsafe and got a penalty for the first thing. Secondly, I had no setup and didn't fuel it up to the maximum, so I was on 50 litres instead of whatever the top fuel thing is. So that wasn't the best.
So certainly points of note for Sibagnoni, that he's doing a very, very good job indeed for his first race in R-Factor 2, and you'll be very surprised as well how quickly...
especially.
Exactly, and you'll be very
I've
surprised...
not done a race in R-Factor 2 yet.
You'll be very surprised how quickly...
Commentated on a lot though.
Yes, you'll be surprised how quickly he'll pick up the pace as well throughout the season, I'm sure. As first race, you always find yourself 3 seconds off the pace, then you're 2 seconds off the pace. Then eventually you'll be in the pack fighting, as we have 10 minutes remaining now, and it's it's pretty much cruise control for Sven Gilleherd. 5.6 seconds, the gap between him and Valente, and I don't think he's going to show any sign of letting up anytime soon.
Yeah, Valente, turn low on Valente, keeping quite a stale, like stalemate-ish distance, which is okay. Actually, I don't mind it. Might be good for the end of the race.
Yeah,
But if one of them makes
continuing to catch the lapped traffic of Sibagnoni though, so Sibagnoni is going to be doing incredibly well to stay on the lead lap. I wouldn't be surprised if the top three can get by him once the blue flags come into effect though, so not a whole lot that you can do here, unfortunately.
We've also done 20 minutes. Sorry to interrupt that.
Yep, so there's only just over 9 minutes left to go then. But Lua, if he's going to mount his final attack in the closing stages, he's going to need to get on with it, isn't he? Sharpish.
Yep, indeed. Obviously there's a little bit of time. There's still 9 minutes. There's 1/3 of the race still to go. That's still
It goes quickly though, Tobias. It goes mighty quick.
It goes quickly, and as well, if you haven't done it in the first 2/3 of the race, then you won't give yourself much confidence at doing it in the last, especially with the higher tyre wear. And I wonder if there's a few mind games here from Tuan Loya. If he's worked out that if I make this move, the chances of me getting past even more cars in the sprint race, it might just be worth bagging the points for the championship.
Yep, certainly the Irish driver looking to maximise, thinking of the long game as more and more as the season goes on. But it's still round one, let's not forget. Long way to go in this championship, even though there's 11 more races to go after this one.
11? You mean 5?
Well, 11
yes,
races, but 5 rounds, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
Never mind. I got that wrong. I apologise for that mistake.
Yes, and I believe the leader has successfully lapped Sibagnoni.
Another thing to Sibagnoni's credit, actually, getting out of the way very quickly. I remember in my first ever sim race, actually, I caused some trouble with, I believe it was Matt Tewson in the Virtual Open Wheels Series Canadian Grand Prix once. I misjudged my braking zone and almost took out poor old Matt. And that was particularly interesting.
We're all very experienced sim racers in our own way.
I wouldn't call what I did sim racing, but certainly I did a lot of racing in Trackmania. And then I had an early retirement, let's say. But I was doing F1 star races in Trackmania. A long story, I'll tell you during a more boring race than this one.
Might be one for...
What do you mean? There will be no boring track races.
Might be more one for the ERC.
Yes, definitely.
24-hour race next season in Bahrain. As we see, oh, look at that. Ten Lear really banking as much curb as he can and a little bit more.
Bit of the grass. Bit of the grass. We don't mind seeing that.
Yeah, there we go.
As the gap is around just
the
above
biggest chance for Lure, in my opinion, is going to be once Valente coasts up to the back of Matthew Sibagnoni. So I think that could really create an opening if Tim Lure can close back in and time it right. But it's certainly looking like Sibagnoni's going to move over any minute now. So
if the
times is wrong, Lure could get held up and lose even more ground.
The thing is that he's had to wait for him the entire thing. I have a feeling Sibagnoni's just going to be asked to move over really quickly.
There we go.
That's weird.
Yeah, Sibagnoni was sort of still there on the outside. Oh, and there we go. Last minute evasive maneuver there.
A bit of a hold up. Obviously, it's his first race. It happens.
Is Sibagnoni going to try and get a bit of slipstream off the back of it? No way.
I think that's held up Lauer more than it has, I think. Actually, no. They're within a second now. They're 8/10 off each other.
So it's about the gap it was before. So, but certainly Lure not particularly hurt by that.
Actually, no, it hurt Valente more. The gap beforehand is around 1.2 or 1.4 seconds. It's actually quite hurt him.
As we just see there momentarily, Sibagnoni having a slight excursion onto the grass.
Oh dear, yeah.
But no major drama. He's held it quite nicely. And
only 5 minutes left then. So Sibagnoni, it's really about just coasting at home.
Yeah,
and we'll see what he can do during the sprint race. He might be a bit of an Ayrton Senna 1992 Monaco about him.
We will have to see. I think Heliki, might be more likely to take up that mantle. But we'll have to, based on this
the
event.
defending he did today was very impressive, and he's not far off the leaders. That's the thing.
Yeah, only 20 seconds off, and he may even lap Matthew Sibagnoni before the end. But
Let's
that
not go
might be a
that
big
far,
ask.
but
He's still about 10-15 seconds.
Dan Lauer's really closed up to Valente. He's really using his tyres up now. He's only about 5/10 off. It's very, very close. Obviously, we'll really start talking about a move when he's returned like 3/10, I'd say.
Well,
Really
second place is going to be either Iris or Monkey Esports then. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
going a bit wider.
Very wide.
As Valente really starting to do the inside line now. Really taking it.
And now...
It's turned out a bit far, I think, for the move now.
He
Yeah,
switches back quite aggressively to the racing line, does Valente. Far before the braking zone, though. So it's absolutely entitled to do so. And it's the spectacularly purple-coloured Iris car versus the abomination that is the Monkey Esports livery. And I think Tone Lawyer will use that psychological advantage to his advantage, as he's now only 3/10, and I'd be very surprised if he doesn't make this move in the next 3 minutes or so. This could perhaps be his game plan. Save the tyres throughout for, well, 27 minutes he's now been driving, and then in the last 3 minutes just absolutely attack like hell.
Oh,
Yeah.
he didn't get the greatest of runs though onto the back straight.
How, like we've been saying all race, it all depends on the final, getting a good way through the corners. As he's not really isn't far off. As he takes a bit of a different line, gets a better exit though. It's all about this corner though, maximizing it here. Goes a bit wide, not the end of the world. He's closer than I think last time. Still really catch. Valente slightly moving to the inside. Now they're really catching. He's a bit far for this lap, isn't he? Will be.
Yeah, it's really going to need a big mistake from Valente, I think, at this point. But
I'm
as
not
long
sure
as that purple car, as long as that purple car is weaving in the mirrors, then the pressure on Alessandro Valente is just going to become immense in these closing final few laps. As we're just under 3 minutes left to go, then.
Should be about 3 laps exactly then, you would imagine. Well, 2.5.
It depends what Gielhaid does, doesn't it? After he crosses the line, everyone else will cross to finish.
Well, Gielhaid seems to be running in the 112s. These two in the 113, so clearly the battle not doing their lap times many favours. However, Tone Lawyer still trying to make the move on Alejandro Valente. It's not quite working out for him yet, but he's still just got to start hounding, and he's got to hound quite quickly, actually. And I think he's just not fast in the places that you need to be fast on this circuit.
Just saying, obviously he's got 2 more laps to do it. There's time. Ooh. He's really close now, actually. This could be maybe the time for the move. That's much closer than beforehand.
Yeah, Valente was just sort of really slow in the middle of the corner there because he was focused on the exit, and that kind of allowed a little opportunity there for Tone Lawyer to sort of close in.
Vanished because he was just, I think he got a bit flustered because of it.
It's
Lawyer didn't really have anywhere to go. Oh, and a little bit of tailspin there.
As Gielhaid sets the fastest lap of the race, which crucially means that as long as he has no major dramas in the next 2 laps, he will be taking home the Grand Slam, at least for the feature race.
It's a shame for Roland Zux then. So not only does he not finish, he doesn't even get fastest lap.
Yeah, but there's always a second race where he's starting to be 7, but...
So we go then, he's closer than ever, is Tone Lawyer.
Oh yeah.
He needs to get a good first straight. It makes no sense to overtake through here, unless obviously he's well enough side by side. However, as we all know, it's best to wait for the chicane one. No, he's not. He's ducking out a bit, maybe to cool down the tyres a bit. As they both take it fairly well. I felt that Lauer's a bit more controlled.
Yeah, Valente just dipping a wheel on the grass here and there, and desperately trying to keep ahead.
Lap as well.
Yeah, this is the final lap, I believe. Let me quickly check the time.
It should be.
Yes, yeah, this is the final lap.
44 seconds left, and Sven Gielhaid's 10 seconds up the road.
That's a late lunge.
That's very optimistic from Tone Lawyer.
No, I did well not to hit the wall on the inside there. There wasn't a whole lot of space if that went wrong.
That was very optimistic, and I don't think it was ever going to work. I don't think he even thought it was going to work, but it was his last real overtaking opportunity in this race. And I think now he's just got to settle for 3rd position, which will be 4th on the reverse grid. So not too bad for Tone Lawyer. and he'll probably get these points back.
He's already closed back in, though. We're about
Oh,
to.
dear.
He's gone one.
Now he's
That's
lost it.
that's basically sealed it, unless obviously Valente makes a mistake. Anyway, let's go to our leader, who rounds the final corner for the final time. As he goes a little bit wide, going through the final corner, he goes and wins the first race of the season.
Yeah, maximum points all for Sven Kielhead. Then that would be 25, I'm assuming, in the feature races. Oh, Valente.
There's
That's
a bit of a
Kielhead, not
NASCAR.
Valente.
Sven Gaylor does a little bit of a NASCAR style ending. Now let's watch.
Yeah, Valente doing the same thing, and Tenlua too.
Oh my word!
There's your top three, ladies and gentlemen. And
Very well
coming through
done.
soon should be Kai Halicki in the white car, just ahead of Callum Hambley.
No,
Oh,
Hambley got
Hambley
past
got
him.
through. Well, we got completely distracted by that
Oh,
battle,
dear.
and Halicki made a mistake and has dropped to 3 seconds behind Callum Hambley. So, not sure what
Oh.
happened there, but right near the end.
I'll concede, I switched off a little bit there. I wasn't quite expecting that, and that is quite spectacular indeed from Callum Hambley. And
Yeah.
I'm just quickly
Unlucky for
looking through.
Halicki though, he did such a good job up until
He
the
did.
very end as all.
this is perhaps not the
Okay.
best advert for the league. And I think it should be.
I agree.
I think it should be mentioned. We'll probably go to a quick 5 minute or so break, just so we can all get a drink. And
So everyone's
see-
finished then because of course Matthews finished. as
Okay,
well.
let's
to
quickly
explain
go-
what happened to Kai Lichki. Wait. Sorry, I just want to explain what happened to Kai Lichki because I know what happened to him. He spun the car.
Oh dear.
He just
That's why he
won.
lost.
Oh dear.
Here are your provisional results. Then Sven Gillerhood takes a pretty sensible first win. He takes the Grand Slam. He led every single lap and got the fastest lap of the race at the Defs there, 112.159. Stole it from Roland Zux by, in fact, not a lot indeed. That was a 112.182 from Roland Zux. Very, very close indeed. Alejandro Valente in second place for Monkey Esports. It's a Monkey 1-2. Tuan Lawyer in the Team Iris car, number 24. Then Callum Hambley takes fourth. Commiserations to Kai Halicki, who is just beaten to that at the end. And then Matthew Sibignoni in his first ever RFX2 race on a controller takes a very respectable sixth. He might not have had the pace in that particular race, however, he's done himself very proud. Very few mistakes, and I'd say quite an impressive drive nonetheless. So we will be going to a quick break. We'll put up the countdown for 5 minutes, and we will be back for more action from Bortsland International Raceway momentarily. Hello, everybody, and welcome back after a very interesting first race. We are back here at the Portland International Raceway for the Formula US SRL Championship, the mini-series of 6 rounds. We're back with Tobias Blumsheim and Edward Hunter, and a quick reminder of the schedule. Next week we'll be going to the Apple Valley Oval, the first oval race of the championship since back in the NASCAR days earlier this year, and then we'll be going to Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Richmond and Road America. So before we get into the grid order and everything that's going to happen in the next race, we should have a discussion about the calendar. Where do we think the races are going to... how do you think the championship's going to ebb and flow? Because I can't really see Sven Gillerhood winning in Apple Valley myself.
Oh, interesting to hear you say that, because I don't think many people would bet against Sven winning overall in the championship. He may not. Ovals. I'm not sure. I've seen him on. I've not commentated on any oval racing at all, so it'll be my first oval race, Apple Valley. But I'm sure Sven could probably get a few points out of it, which is kind of what he needs.
It's due to the unpredictability of the oval. We've seen Sven Gillerhood race in this championship before in the Indianapolis 250, and I don't recall him winning that. And he's a very, very good driver. He will put it on pole, I can guarantee that much. However, I think due to the unpredictability of ovals, it's very difficult to do what Sven does best, and that's just run away with a race. And I think at Apple Valley it'll be particularly difficult for him to do so. And, well, I think, however, the road courses will really help him in his championship fight. I know that you can bet against him for the championship particularly, but here we go. We've actually got the race starting a little bit prematurely, so it's a good job we came back when we did.
I apologise.
And,
yeah, I think we may have lost a driver there who was going to start a race.
So
yeah, Matthew Sibagnoni's gone then.
So maybe.
So that means Kai Helicki will start from pole from 50. Only 5 cars remaining, unfortunately. I know it's not the greatest advert for the series, but you get what you get sometimes, so let's hope we get a race out of it at least.
And I wonder if they'll restart for Sibagnoni if it was indeed a...
No, Sibagnoni, I can officially... he has to do something else right now. League's clashed, so he will...
So he can be very pleased with his performance nonetheless, and I don't think we can really blame him if he does have to go and do something else. That's just unfortunately how life works sometimes. They do start the formation lap. As we said, it's Kai Helicki, Callum Hambley. In fact, let's just go through the grid order, as if I find it on... If I quickly find it on...
There's only 5 cars, Tom.
Well, yes. You see, the issue is the R-Factor 2 overlay page is rather difficult to navigate.
I can go through it if you want.
Yes,
yeah, we've got Kai Helicki starting on pole position there.
There's a proper little graphic that they put you up, that they let you put up, but
okay.
Apparently I can't quite find it here. So there we go, set starting order, and then we'll bring it up. Here we go then, Ed, if you want to take it away.
Okay, so it's Kai Helicki starting on pole position from Callum Hambley just behind. We saw those two have a great little fight. We're going to see it again, I hope. And then, of course, it is the Iris, I think, of Ten Lure, followed by Alessandro Valente in the first of the Monkey Esports cars. Then, of course, Sven Gillerhood, who won last time. Now he's got to overtake all 5 cars in front of him if he wants to repeat that feat. He did it before in the test race in Indianapolis. Might not be quite so easy around here at Portland as Kai Helicki makes his way towards the start-finish line. He's come very early. He's not taking his time.
And so we'll let the wonderful Tobias take you through the race start. And
thank you, Tom. I always enjoy doing that.
Yes. And that we'll see you on the other side.
Yep, thank you. As we're waiting for the lights to go out. Waiting for everyone to grid up, obviously. It'll take a little bit of time. And then, let's go. Yep, as 3 lights. And we go green for the start. Kai Halicki gets a very, very clean start. Callum Hamley gets a less good start.
Or was that
And-
Valente going through the middle there?
Yeah, Valente, will he go for the lead? He has. Let's go. Oh my god, that's a very close start, actually, there.
Brilliant start by Valente there. And Callum Hambley, crucially, holding on though.
Right, so now had a bit of a pull up.
Oh.
My god. Oh, there's been an accident, and Kai Halicki's moved the wall.
And that is Tan Moyer,
Halicki.
actually, crucially,
Allure.
who we said was holding back purposely in the feature race, and he's immediately retired. So his plan has suitably gone out of the window, and it's Callum Hambley who's inherited the lead through all of the sheer bedlam from the start. And Sven Gillerhood, who of course won in a dominant fashion that first feature race, is now going to try and get the lead that he'll feel he deserves so desperately, starting from 5th position.
Yeah, so big mistakes there from Halicki and Valente there. Valente was sort of on the outside of Hambley and then ended up being pushed on the grass, so it was hard to tell with the two Monkey Esports cars so similarly liveried who actually got in front, but it was definitely Geelhead. Oh no, I think Geelhead's right behind Valente actually still, so actually he didn't quite take advantage.
He's actually going to try and make a move into turn 1. And Callum
three in a train! Hambley will have to defend for all he's worth then.
Just got
unlucky
camera angle there, really, and over the curb, Alejandro Valente. But it's going to be a little bit arbitrary in the end, as he is going to be able to take the lead over Callum Hambley in quite textbook
And now Hambley really needs to hold up Geelhead if Valente to try and win this race, doesn't he? Because we know how quick Sven is.
And I think as a collective, they'll just be praying and hoping that Gillerhood can be stopped from winning this race, as you really need to just hope that he slips up, as I think that's the only way he's going to lose.
Is Callum Hambley going to try and back Sven into Kai Halicki? I don't think that. I'm not sure that's a viable strategy, because if he does that too much and Sven's through, isn't he? Look at him all over, weaving and ducking and diving.
With all respect to Callum, I think Sven's just too good to be backed up like that, as you can see. Really trying. This is the biggest test that Sven
Valente really struggling. Oh, he goes wide, and Hambley through back into the lead.
As this is really the biggest challenge Sven Gillerhood's had.
Yes, he has.
This is the biggest challenge Sven Gillerhood's really had all weekend, as he's been so dominant, of course, the Grand Slam in the first race, and now he's actually got the racing lines. This could be big from Sven Gillerhood down into turn 1. I apologise, that's Valente on the racing lines. Sven Gillerhood down, making the double move of both of them. And that's Sven Gillerhood into the lead. I apologise. And there we go. That is an absolutely mighty move, and it's not finished yet. Callum Hamley still trying to get back at him, not quite going to work.
Oh, and Halicki has got by Valente in the background.
As that was an incredible double move from Sven Gillerhood, Daniel Ricciardo-esque at Baku 2017, and I think he'll be very impressed by that.
And a very, very costly mistake by Alessandro Valente.
And we've got Halicki and Alessandro Valente battling right now. Sorry to interrupt you two. As they're going through. Alessandro Valente trying it there.
On the outside. Oh! Big touch. He wasn't quite clear. And he's still there, unfortunately, for Kai Halicki. So I think it's not going to be a whole lot he can do to defend. Look, he's pushing him almost up towards the wall again. We know Halicki doesn't like being there, but he holds his line. And this is a dramatic drift though, but just about able to hold Valente at bay for another lap. But Halicki really not gone to plan for him, has it?
I mean, no, it sort of has. He's in third.
Yeah, but
I think
he did start on pole though.
I think in fairness to Halicki, I think the reverse grid only really favours those who are slower when you've got a full grid.
And round the outside goes Valente at the chicane.
Valente! He really makes a mistake and they're both rounds. That all stemmed from a little bit of oversteer that Valente got out of the corner, and he just ran into Kai Halicki. It was blameless, really, from either of them, and that was just unfortunately one of those things that happens.
Sidewall to sidewall, and Halicki came off best there in third position, but it was not intentional. Valente sort of just lost it on the exit, like you said, Tom, and Halicki couldn't really react in time. So Geelhead now pulling away to the tune of 1.2 seconds over Callum Hambley. So yeah, Hambley looking like he can still just about keep Geelhead in touch, but the more this goes on, I think the more Geelhead's going to pull away. Certainly second place looks like a big points haul now for Hambley after that late move or position gain on Kai Halicki. He's now going to get second place from this race if he can keep this up. He's got a 10-second gap to Hilicki now, which is much more than he had in the previous race.
He might even try catching the leader, as there's already going to be a lapping. Oh wait, no, that's wrong camera.
I think actually as well, this race is now going to turn into a bit of a formality for Hamberley and Gilhard. The only real challenge is going to be that of Valente, who I imagine has a little bit of damage. Once he gets past Hilicki, though, I think we're going to be in for quite a bit of a procession, really. I don't see many moves being made. There's already 10 seconds to Hilicki and Hamberley, so I think this order is not going to change too great.
It's such a shame that Lua got eliminated at the first corner there.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I think, Tom, for now, you can already tell us about your Trackmania experience.
Ed, sorry, not me.
I don't think Tom has ever driven in Trackmania. Okay. Well, since you asked me, my Trackmania experience is I used to drive in an Australian league called Ultimate F1 Racing, or UF1R for short. And I think my first race in that, on the Trackmania side, because I think they also had an F1 2010 it was at the time. That's shows how long ago this was. Like 2011.
Sorry to bump in, Alessandro Valente I think has gone and retired now, sadly.
Oh, that's a big shame.
So we all these three drivers are going to be on the podium.
Well, there we go then. So Alessandro Valente deciding the damage was too great to continue, and he wasn't catching Hilicki the last lap, was he? It was just the gap looked pretty much the same. I would have kept on with that if that was me, but I guess Valente may be a bit disappointed, and maybe he's got better things to do.
I'm sure. Bit of a shame though. Quite a quiet race to the end, I have a feeling. Only 3 people left now. Obviously, quite a shame, but hey.
Yeah, there we go. Well,
I mean,
what can you do, really?
I do have to remind you that all 3 of us specialise in endurance racing, so this shouldn't be too painful for us to witness.
No, not really.
For sure.
But
certainly doesn't do the image of the series too many favours though. But hopefully we can get attendance much better at future rounds that hopefully don't happen just after a real life F1 Grand Prix.
In fairness as well, the series has just come back, and we find that in general the FSR and GPWC tend to have a little bit of a duopoly on the open wheel racing scene. You don't really see many other leagues coming to fruition. You have some F1 leagues that are doing fairly decently, I believe, but specifically in the lower Formula American space, you find it quite difficult in the current climate of R Factor 2 to get these big single-seater races going, unless you're perhaps a support race to a bigger endurance league. It's quite difficult, and there's really fighting an uphill battle at SRL, and I'm sure there'll be brighter days ahead. And this is, of course, the first round of a returning
Alessandro Valente has posted in the chat, by the way. He just said washed. Not sure what that means. Maybe he's got some washing.
Probably what he means about his driving right now. He's washed. Anyways, talking about the upcoming races, on the 2nd of January, we do have the SRL Indy 250, the 3rd annual one. That will be a very big event. That'll probably get a much bigger attendance.
I think 3rd annual is a little bit of an exaggeration. The third running.
Official SRL. Yes, 3rd running. That's a better term. Better than I can say. Where we're hoping to get about 33 entries, so like an official IndyCar series. So yeah. Hopefully that'll get attendance like it used to. So yeah. Tom, you have experience with that race, don't you?
I do. Me and James Smith commentated on the previous one, and it created one of the lasting clips of my commentary, and that is me 98 laps in having an almighty voice crack. And that was about, I believe that was just after the Daytona 24 Hours in ERC. It was earlier in the year, back before SRL vanished from existence, and of course is now back. But it was a very interesting race indeed. There was a lot of cautions. We had Jessica Pelleter winning at one stage, which was quite impressive, I have to say. And that was another clip that actually exists.
Holding up lapped cars.
That's another clip that occasionally surfaces of me sounding like James Hunt, going on a bit of a rant about Jessica Pelleter's driving in that particular event, which not my most.
She's not safe anyway, is she?
Not my most unbiased and professional moment in commentary.
Talking about the 24 hours from EERC, that was my first commentary experience.
As
I
interestingly,
did very well
the
at first.
Halloween 24 was on the same day as the first SRL Indy 250, which was one of the reasons why I wasn't on commentary for that one, as I think that's the only SRL race ever that I haven't been on commentary for.
Well, you did get your Reading Game's first podium
We
in
did.
that particular
We seem to
24 hours
do.
era.
We
I was
seem to
commentating
commentate our
on.
own 24-hour races. It's quite weird, actually.
Shame I can't get a podium in ERC.
Well, that's one device, don't worry.
Because we
Valet very well.
We then went to Spa, and we should have won that in hindsight, but didn't quite materialise for us. And my big takeaway from that was that picture of the Musion car, 2 inches or so from the barrier, and just feeling like we were 2 inches away from a Spa win.
Yeah, but that Spa 24 hours though was such a brilliant battle in LMP2 between Mugen, Valet, and Reading Game. It really felt like all three could really have won that one. In the end, it went to Mugen, but Reading Game really made it go down to the wire in a 24-hour event, which is no mean feat. So
it was spectacular to take part in, and back.
It was fun to commentate on.
And back to the going ons here. That gap between Hamberley and Gilhard isn't as Gilhard isn't really pulling away as much as he would like. It's only 1.9 seconds now.
Yeah, I expected to be beyond 2 seconds, but Hamberley's really been pushing and matching the lap times of Sven Gilhard, so the gap just over 1.5 seconds. And if Gilhard makes any little mistake, Hamberley could be there to take advantage. So now he hasn't got Kai Halicki in the way. We're really able to see what Callum Hamberley can do, and I have to say, very impressive.
With 8 minutes to go, it really is in the air, as Gilhard is really being tested. He hasn't had this kind of test, even throughout the testing period that we had. And, well, I think it's going to be his win regardless. I don't really see him making a mistake from this stage, but crazier things have happened.
Yeah, you have to say, in the first race, Callum Hamberley was really held back by unideal qualifying, really, to be stuck behind Kai Halicki, which kind of defined his race.
Perhaps this is kind of proof of our little theory that he had a bit of damage in that first race, Callum Hamberley.
Yeah, it could be. He's a little bit chaotic at the start.
I think I'd like to ask him afterwards, because I think that was a big factor on why he didn't do so well. Obviously, he did get Kai Halicki in the end, but that was due to a slight spin.
Yeah, Halicki kind of threw it away, unfortunately. But certainly, still impressive driving that first race by Halicki, and he's going to get a podium here too, even though obviously there's no one behind to challenge him, but still getting to the end while others lose their head. Yeah, exactly. You would know that. Especially that 24-hour race, I think you were the only... there weren't many people behind you, let's put it that way.
There wasn't anyone behind us. So, in Le
Mans, I mean. Not in Spa. In Spa, it was a full bona fide, brilliant result.
In my defence, I feel like in a 24-hour race, it's a little bit different when there's no one finishes behind you, because as well, I always point out that we were actually there on merit anyway, before people retired behind us, so...
That was interesting. Did Gilhard just weave towards the pit wall over the start-finish straight? That seemed very odd.
I think Sven might be going through a bit of a phase when you're bored on the Formula 1.
Oh, is he toying?
So
was he just toying Hamberley there? Because he's put the gap up to 3 seconds now.
I think this is a little bit of mind games from Sven Gilhard.
Certainly would appear to be that way, but certainly Callum Hamberley doing his level best to stay to keep him honest. He's the only one who hasn't hit trouble in this race, apart from Gilhard himself, of course.
And well, Gilhard has really shown how class he can be, and I believe it was a very long time ago now, but he was definitely one of the front runners in the previous series that we ran here at SRL. And
lovely little drift through the chicane there.
This is the thing with these cars as well. Usually, they always tell you never, ever drift. But I feel like in cars like these, sometimes little drifts through these corners can actually be a little bit faster than just taking it normally. And I think that was an example of that.
You have to pivot these cars into the corner so you get a bit of a slide, and then you can like power slide it through the corner. I think that's the the preferred symbol. It's a bit more like a. It's
A bit like when you're
a bit like
driving a rental go-kart and you really have to just kind of yank it around the corners and slide a little bit. Oh dear! That is some drama! As that is Sven Gillerhood into the grass, and now he's really got some work.
He's lost the lead.
Now he's really got some work to do in the next 4 minutes to get that 1.7 second gap back down to Callum Hambley. It is Christmas for Callum Hambley, and Sven Gillerhood might be licking his wounds after this race.
I think
Also
you're licking your lips,
Christmas
Tom. Sounds like it's yeah, exactly. Christmas for the commentators. But that's a very odd place to make a mistake, though, isn't it? That hairpin.
No, I wouldn't say it isn't, because I mean you can accidentally go a little bit wide off there. I did it in those earlier mentioned competition system things when everybody got onto the competition system and tested it out.
Yeah, felt like a needless error though from Sven Gillerhood. Like he was just pushing a bit too hard to go for like fastest laps.
However,
I was worried he's going to go into the wall.
Position.
But
of course, he's only lost one position. It's not as big as costly as if he'd done that on the first lap, for instance.
I somehow feel that he won't have too much of an issue getting past Callum Hambley. It's already...
Are you implying that he did that deliberately?
I'm not implying he did that deliberately. However, I am concerned that that's Kai Halicki with a little bit of an issue, but not too bad. It's already down to 1.4 seconds. I think Sven Gillerhood here really has the pace, and this would show just how dominant he's been, even with a spin, to be able to get back.
Well,
the thing is that there's 3 laps left after this.
Exactly.
Oh, and again,
Hambley will cut all the stops. Oh, maybe.
With those mistakes, he's not going to catch up to Hambley. Let's be honest, Hambley's shown a huge level of consistency here.
He just got the right wheel on the curb there, but he didn't lose too much this time.
I think Sven is perfectly capable with 3 laps left of getting this position back. He's already, even with that mistake, gained 6/10 on this lap. And I'm going to wait to see, actually, we can put the 1v1 battle up and we can put last lap time for when he crosses the line. Sven Gillerhood was 4 seconds slower on the previous lap, as we would expect. But on this lap, I think he was faster. And we'll put that graphic back up for you, sorry. There we go, Sven Gillerhood 3/10 faster on the previous lap. That would say that he would be fast enough perhaps to make a move on the final lap of this race.
That would be 3/10 faster, including the mistake he made.
However,
yes, exactly.
I think we have to remember what happened between Lauer and Valente last race, where Lauer just couldn't find a way past, and it just
but
in the
I
end
think we're underestimating how much faster than the rest of the field Sven Gillerhood really is.
Certainly around this stage of the season, that would appear to be the case, Tom. But Callum Hambley hoping to buck the trend here, hoping to hold off just a few laps more and take a shock reverse grid victory.
It would be a shock indeed, but I don't think he's licking his lips yet. He knows what he's got to do, and he knows that it would take something quite spectacular from Sven Gillerhood. It would take something quite spectacular from both of these drivers to get the victory.
Oh, looks like both of them almost lost it there, but just on the ragged edge.
Here we go, an opportunity for Sven Gillerhood then. Heading into turn 1, Sven Gillerhood is already alongside. We know he's been very good at late braking so far at this race. He made a 2-car overtake into this very corner on lap 2, and now he's going to try and make a 1-car overtake, but from further back.
Oh, Hambley's still got the inside, so Gillerhood is not going to have to find a way through.
But he
that was actually really smart by Hambley.
He will be as close.
Look at him all over him.
He's practically pushing Callum Hambley through the corner.
Yeah, this infield section really is where Sven starts to stretch his legs, isn't it? And any little mistake, and he'll be through. So Hambley knows he can't put an inch wrong here. As around the outside tries Sven Gillerhood.
Crucially, Hambley can't slow down the couple of seconds he'll need here to get past, to get 1 lap left.
Sven's really tucked well in here.
As I'll get my words out eventually, but now this could be Sven Gillerhood's moment, down into the second major overtaking opportunity of the lap, and that is pretty nicely defended from Callum Hambley. He shut that door as soon as there was an inkling that it could go wrong for him, but this is the final lap. This is perhaps the last overtaking opportunity for Sven Gillerhood down into turn 1. He's got the overspeed, but it's perhaps about how much overspeed he can get.
He's going to go for the outside here.
And I think this might just be a brave defence from Callum Hambley, and it is a brave defence from Callum Hambley. He brakes as late as he dares, locks up right on the limit of friction.
Run here.
But no, he won't try it here. He'll try it. We all know he's going to try it into the quick chicane. Oh, he's gone off. He's gone a bit wide there.
No, I didn't quite go off the
Still
circuit
kept it
though.
in.
But he's going so quickly that it almost looks like every corner it's do or die for Sven Geelhead. But Hambly holds firm. This is what happens, folks, when you have an irresistible force and an immovable object. Look at this. He goes to the outside. He goes to the inside. Hambly
He's got a good
will
run
not
now.
let him through.
It's Callum Hambly driving absolutely out of his skin here, and Sven
Oh.
Geelhead taking the outside line. He's actually ahead.
Hambly's going to have to be late on the brakes here then.
This is absolutely incredible racing. As now, who's going to be later? Who's going to have the larger?
Oh, here we go. Geelhead's got him.
As they make contact into the final corner, and Geelhead, by the slightest margin, is going to
my
take the win.
God.
0.5 of a second. And he's going to take the win in the most dramatic fashion. He thought he'd thrown it away, but that wasn't quite going to happen. And that is truly a champion's drive. And I don't think the stewards will have anything to say about that, as I think that was just hard, fair racing.
Yeah, it was always going to be difficult for Hambly when he was on the outside there in that final section. But full credit to him, he went for the inside, even though he was a bit compromised. But Geelhead was just able to hold on, wasn't he? Switch back to the inside.
If we
And
quickly
go through that final corner ahead.
go to the race results before they disappear from our screen, it is Sven Geelhead who takes the victory away from Callum Hambly in one of the most incredible finishes we've had in SRL for a very, very long time indeed. Kai Halicki takes third, and then of course Alejandro Valente and Toon Lawyer both DNFing from the race. So we'll be going to some interviews momentarily, as I apologise. The little box there, the interview screen, was not in the right resolution. Should be fixed for you.
We've got
now.
Callum Hambly ready for a comment for a session.
Yes.
Callum, bit strange in the first race, but second race, my God, you lit up that race. That was great at the battling at the end. Very good between you two. Just talk us through the two races like you did last week.
So, race number 1 was interesting. I didn't do any practice, and
None at all.
no, literally not a single lap, and I didn't do any qualifying. So the 1 or 2 uncompleted laps I did in qualifying were all my practice, which is why race 1 I was a little more off the pace than I was in race 2, because race 1 was sort of my learning experience. But I had a great fight with Halicki, which I hope I'm pronouncing that right. We had a great battle.
That's how we've been pronouncing it.
Yeah,
Fun.
Helichki, I think.
Race 2 was much more interesting. Of course, being reverse grid, you get a nice front row start, good clear view to turn 1. Kept good pace. Sven definitely has the lap speed on me, way quicker. But I just thought if I can sort of keep behind him, sort of within that sort of 4-second mark, if he makes a mistake, I'm going to be able to capitalise, keep my tyres clean, make sure I've got good pace if he does. And he did. And we had a great little fight. Last corner might be a bit controversial. Bit of a lunge there, bit of a contact in the red zone.
Onto that, can I please have your full opinion on that corner? Obviously, you got it down the inside and then made a slight mistake, took a bit too much overspeed and then turned in. Could you quickly just talk us through that, please?
He got a great run out of the corner because I had to defend into that corner coming down onto the straight. So he got a great run out of there. He came up right alongside me and I thought, well, if I let him through here, it's over. So I'll keep my nerve through the fast corners. And then when we got through them, he was still up my inside. And I thought, oh, shit. I'm not allowed to swear on stream.
Yeah, no. I got into trouble for it
Yeah, I
yesterday.
apologise for the swearing there. On the stream.
I'm going to go for a corner, but I'm not going to commit to the apex because if he does come up the inside, I'm just going to chop him off. So we'll go for it, and he comes up the inside, he knocks me off, and he goes to the win. But I'm not mad about it. It was a good fun race. We'll see what the stewards say about that incident in the red zone.
What up? Yeah, thank you for the thank you for all of that.
Thanks for running the stream and all.
Yeah,
It's a bit of
also,
a
quick
shame no
question.
one turned up.
Quick question, final question actually I've got. Did you have damage in race 1? Because we were suspecting that you did because you weren't as quick as we thought we would be.
I don't know if I had damage after turn 1 in race 1. Someone just pushed me off the track for no reason. So
All right.
maybe I picked up something there, but I didn't have anything that was performance affecting. I think I was just getting my pace together.
It has
Because by the end of the race, I noticed I wasn't dropping back from Chorn anymore.
it has
I'd sort of
been
leveled with him.
it has been a known issue, in fairness to you, Callum, in the game, that you can get a little bit of shadow damage sometimes. That just affects your top speed slightly, and it can cause
Possible.
you a little bit of bother.
I'm not sure the case. I think that was just me not being as quick as I could have been. Helicki's defending was fantastic as well, so I sort of got stuck behind him for quite a while because he genuinely was brilliant at defending.
You're right. We'll be able to. Thank you for joining us, Callum.
Thanks very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, unlucky at the end there, Callum, but great performance and great start to the season.
As we have now Kai Lichki, the person who was just mentioned. Hi Kai. Bit of more of an eventful race than last time around in the preseason. How was that for you?
Well, I mean, I'm still a bit frustrated about myself. I'm really happy though. First proper Factor 2 event, and well, I feel amazing. Finishing P5, a bit of a mistake though. Could have been P4. And then, well, first ever career podium, albeit bittersweet due to Alessandro and Teo DNFing, but I'm still kind of happy about it. But yeah, it's been an absolutely amazing event.
When you were defending against Callum Hamley, what went through your head? Because he just said you did amazingly there. That was really good from you. And
Yeah,
we all
I-
praised you actually. That was very well done. How did it
Yeah,
feel?
I watched the stream. I heard him compliment me, and I have to say, Callum, you're also an amazing driver. That was something amazing to find of him. I don't really remember. I mean, I was just focused on driving. I was like, okay, I'm gonna defend, but I'm gonna do it in a way that we don't take each other out, because that would be the worst feeling ever. And well, we didn't. We had that one contact where I felt a bit guilty, but it happens. In the end, he still got ahead of me, so yeah.
Final question from me. I think the other two might have a few questions, but I just like to say, what was I going to say? Did you feel a bit more confident in this race? Because I felt like you had a much more confidence in the corners, and you can see it in the overtakes you were doing. You felt it just looks like you had a bit more confidence than last race.
Yeah, generally when it's pre-season testing, it's all about learning the car, learning the physics, the handling. So I didn't really focus on things as much. But this race, it's the real deal. So I focused way more on actually performing well. And well, I had some great motivation from my girlfriend who was watching the whole event, and I have to thank her so much for that. But yeah, I was way more committed to it. The whole left speed team was. Sadly, they had to go due to clashings and all that, but I'm still happy to represent the team in a faithful way.
Yeah, Edward, do you have any questions, Tom?
Absolutely. So it was great to see you finish both races, Kai, because I know you couldn't quite pull that off in the test race. So it was great to see you competitive in both races, and also but in that first race against Cam Hampley, you're holding him off, and in the second race, you started, of course, from reverse grid pole. But could you describe what happened at the start there? Because it seemed very chaotic, and unfortunately, you and Ten making contact, and Lua going into the barriers and retiring.
Yeah, one thing. Well, I haven't finished a sim racing event in 2 months, so this was an absolute streak breaker for me. But yeah, the reverse grid pole thing. Well, I hoped for a good start. I got a decent launch, but the later traction and acceleration wasn't there, so I kind of dropped down. And coming into turn 1, I see that I have one of the, I think, Monkey Esports cars on my inside. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave them the space. But then I see more cars piling up there. So I just kind of bogged it down, lost a lot of positions, and then tried to gain some speed on the outside, but overshot it because one of the cars was on the inside. I went on the grass just like the car ahead of me, except Taeun came right in, trying to overtake me while I was trying to get back on the tracks. It was a very unfortunate incident. I do feel guilty about it because, well, in the end, I was the one who kind of took him out, so I can take full blame for that.
Well, I can show you right now he is completely fine.
Yeah, I know.
That's good.
Still, though.
Everyone's really chill with each other in these races,
Yeah.
despite all the drama, which is good to see, I guess. So, obviously, the rest of the race, Kai, I guess, was you just trying to make it to the end with the damage that you had, and
Yeah,
marks for doing so.
Yeah, my suspension was twisted in the way that I had to hold my wheel like an IndyCar on an oval. Interesting experience, to say the least. But yeah, I held it on because
for the next race, which is an oval.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting there. Hopefully, a bit more attendance.
Well,
Yeah,
fingers
that's
crossed.
our whole thing. The oval should be good though. Lots of good slipstream battles. So yeah, excited to see it. Anyway, thanks for having us, Tom. Do you have a question?
No, I think that is the interviews done though, so we will very
Perfect.
quickly wrap up the stream. So, of course, a quick reminder of the calendar. We go to Apple Valley Oval next week, and that should be a very interesting, a short oval. Not short for British standards, but short for American standards, certainly. So that should be a very interesting race indeed. And other than that, I've been Tom Dillon. Alongside me has been Edward Hunter and Tobias Blumshine. And we would like to thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you